Madina has faced several challenges following the death of her husband. Despite their 12 children, including 6 from Madina, she was evicted from her husband's land. This situation underscores the broader issue of women's limited access to land rights in Uganda. While legal frameworks such as the 1995 Constitution and the Land Act provide for gender equality, customary practices often override these laws, leaving women like Madina vulnerable. In rural areas, women contribute significantly to agriculture but own less than 8% of the land, and many are denied inheritance rights due to patriarchal customs.
My name's Anna Mugobe Madina, a resident of Nsanje, Chekombia. My husband died of a tree accident in 2016. When my husband died, they started chasing me away. Pastoralists would graze their animals on my food that I used to grow. Even my in-laws started chasing me on the land that my husband left me because for them they had already sold their shares. After several acts of violence, like burning my kitchen twice, the family still came forcefully and took away 10 sacks of charcoal that I had produced to cater for my children's school fees. After all that suffering, the pastoralists started harassing me, beating me and pushing me away from the land, claiming that it was already sold to them by my in-laws. And in 2019, I decided to leave this land. I was left homeless from then until now, with nothing to eat, nothing to feed my children. But today we are here to resolve the matter, but still my in-laws are talking bitter about my children, and they've warned them never to surface again in their family. When I ran to court, they connected me to CEFROHT, and it has really helped me until now that we are sharing this land, and at least I'm happy that I'm going to get somewhere to cultivate food for my children.
Amanya n'abatuvaaneti nga nze chairperson ow'ekyalo kino Nsanje, tweyanzizza nnyo olw'ebikoleddwa nga bagabanya abaana b'omugenzi byansi. N'olw'ensonga eyo ekikoleddwa tukiriziganyizza nga bagabanya abaana b'omugenzi oyo, buli omu n'afuna ekitundu kye, nga abatabaddeewo nabo bafunye, era tusanyuse nnyo. Saveya waffe tukwebaza olw'omulimu omunene gw'okoze. Saveya aleeteddwa ekitongole kya CEFROHT okusobola okumaliriza enkaayana ezibadde wano.
Nyambaziira John Alex, omutuuze w'Ensanje, akakiiko nkolako ng'omuwanika. Tubadde bassanyu olwaleero ku mizoobano egibadde mu kibanja kya abaana bano mwami Byansi, okulaba nga kooti esobodde okujja olwaleero okumalawo enkaayana, neba nga abaana bano buli omu emuwadde omugabo gwe, ekintu ekibadde kitubobbye mutwe buli lunaku buli kaseera mu kooti. Kakati tufunye essanyu, n'abaana bafunye essanyu, n'ekitundu kifunye essanyu nti buli omu afunye poshoni ye, tewali buzibu bwonna, era tusanyuse ffe ng'abatuuze. N'olwekyo buli omu waddembe okukolerawo ebibye by'ayagala mu poshoni eyomuweereddwa. Neebaza ekitongole kino ekya CEFROHT kikoze omulimu gwa ttendo, kubanga tekiba kyo oba oliawo ebintu bino bibadde tebinnaba okuba nga bituuka ku nkomerero. Ekitongole tukyebaza olw'omulimu omunene gwe kikoze. Beebale nnyo, beebalire ddala, n'olulala tebajjanga okwo.
My name is Kembabazi Joan, the program head of Social Justice and Strategic Litigation here at the Center for Food and Adequate Living Rights, CEFROHT. As CEFROHT, we believe in a world where the right to adequate living for everyone is realized. In 2023, CEFROHT got to know of the case of Namugambwe Madina. Madina is a widow that had just lost her husband and had 6 children to feed on her own. However, despite all those challenges, her husband's family was trying to push her away from the land that her husband left her. Although several international, continental, regional, and national laws safeguard the right to food, safeguard the right to land, women still encounter a major challenge realizing this particular right. This is why CEFROHT is interested in helping women realize their right to land. The African community, culturally, has never recognized women as entitled to own land. From our history, women were never allowed to own land. We used to live in a very patriarchal system, and the residues of that patriarchal system continue to exist in a lot of communities. This is why women continue to face a lot of social and economic barriers when it comes to owning land. However, with their inability to own land, they cannot recognize their right to food. They cannot be able to realize a lot of their economic rights. This means they cannot send their children to school. They cannot sustain themselves. They cannot be food secure. And this is why CEFROHT is interested, because CEFROHT's mandate is the right to adequate food and sustainable living for everybody. CEFROHT took on Madina's case in 2023. And after trying their best to help resolve the case through mediation, decided to proceed and take the case back to court. We received a ruling recently in our favor in which court directed that the only way that Madina's right to adequate food could be realized is if she's resettled on her land together with her children. During the court sessions, Madina confessed on how food insecure she was, along with her children. She confessed on how some of her children had dropped out of school. Out of the 6 children, only 1 was still in school because they did not have the land where she could feed the children, but also where she could earn a living to be able to sustain these children in school. So we're very happy about that ruling in our favor. We think the Magistrates Court of Chiboga, we were able to enforce the court directives in that ruling, in which court had directed that all the land left by the deceased, the late husband to Madina, should be divided up among all the 12 children. And out of those children were Madina's 6 children. As the legal guardian to the 6 children, she could use the land that belonged to her children to till on it, to farm on it, and to also practice agroecology, as we trained her, to make sure that she can earn a living for her children, but most importantly, that her and her children can be food secure. We were able to enforce these court orders, we were able to resettle her, and we got a lot of appreciation from the local community. However, there are still very many women that are facing these patriarchal challenges in the community. And so our hope is that this program can grow because there are so many women that could be helped. The most important thing is that we have the Human Rights Enforcement Act. This is an act that breaks down all the formalities of the court system. It eases access to justice because it does not require the stringent requirements that are required in all other legal proceedings. So as CEFROHT, we use a human rights-based approach when helping these women, but most importantly, we use the Human Rights Enforcement Act to make sure that these cases are resolved within a very short time without being held back by the formalities of the court systems. Madina's case was resolved, no matter how contentious it was resolved within a very short time. And right now she's enjoying using the land, and her children will be going back to school very soon. She's food secure, she has somewhere to earn a living. So we thank the government for the Human Rights Enforcement Act. We thank the local authorities in Chiboga for working with us. But we would also call upon partners that would like to work with CEFROHT in expanding this program.
Madina's story is an example of systematic barriers women face in securing their land rights, highlighting the urgent need for legal reforms and societal change to ensure equal land access for all.